Okemo Valley TV, helping you participate in government from wherever you are.
All right, we're going to call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just to let everybody know, we're in full attendance. Jeff is on Zoom tonight, so. Okay, consideration of any changes or additions to the agenda.
I do not have any.
I do not have any.
I don't either.
Jeff, you all set? He's on mute.
All set?
Okay, there you go.
There.
Okay, approval of January 9th. (2024) minutes.
Oh, yeah. I'm still stuck in last.
It's not hard to do.
That's okay.
I make a motion that we approve the January 9th, 2024 minutes as written.
I'll second it. The ayes? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving to reports. Highway transfer station update. Clinton?
To unmute him.
We'll have to unmute Clinton. Clinton, you're muted.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Carol, you may.
Mute. There we go. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Clinton.
All right. The grants are due for paving and structure grants. I didn't know if we wanted to try to do the first part of Hortonville this year, and the culvert over on Perry Road is getting really tender. The road's starting to sink in. That has to be a concrete box culvert, which is 12 by 8. So I didn't know if we wanted to try to get a structures grant for that one. And that's about all I have for grants. We're running into problems with our uniforms. They're not getting repaired like they should. And I know our contract is coming up. So we've discussed about maybe trying to get reimbursed for, buying our own clothing and getting a used washer and dryer to put in the town garage just so we can do our own clothes there. Instead of ruining our own washing machines. I haven't heard nothing bad about the transfer station. I know the electronics building's full. I got to get up there and try to sort it out, but as you all know, I'm not doing the best right now. So.
You may want to bump the volume.
Yeah.
So Clinton, what are you looking for uniforms per person?
I mean, whatever we're paying now, I mean, if we just divided that by 3, the 3 of us, so there's no extra cost. And, if we don't use it or whatever, or figure out what it's going to cost a year, because don't really know, but,
Well, we can go by what we've already paying the uniform company per year.
yeah.
Yeah, it's approximately $200 a month from Foley currently. Goalie has had some service issues.
Mhm.
We did give them, our natural contract end date is April, I believe, 19th, May 1st. Okay, it's coming up. We've given them the notice that we're not going to renew.
I'm okay with that.
It was a 4-year contract, which we're naturally coming to the end of. Clinton did ask, Clinton and Chad did call around to all the other local providers and did get some alternate quotes. The one from UniFirst, which sounded the best. Unfortunately, we got their quote. The guys were interested in moving ahead, and then the manager called back and said, actually, we can't service your area. So the salesperson had kind of, I guess, gone outside her territory accidentally. So that's just the backstory there. I think our bills range a little bit depending on exactly the items that are ordered in a given week, but it's roughly 50 to 55 bucks per week for all of them. So it's about 200 to 230. Some months it's a little bit more per month, but just that gives you a sense of what the current cost is.
Okay. I'm okay with going out and getting prices on that stuff.
Let them buy their own.
I'm fine with that. So if we want to move forward, once the contract's up and, we can make a motion.
Do we need to do that now?
No, we can
Can do it
hold
next
off.
month.
We can do it next month. Yeah.
Let me give you the number.
Mhm.
It looks like it'd be, 2,500 a year, basically 24 to 2,500 a year is the current cost.
Maybe we want to just make sure we factor in, if we're washing them, the cost of the machine and stuff.
Correct.
Right.
And
And
detergent.
probably extra, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Right. So.
So I don't know, Jeff, do you have time to go over maybe that structures grant and the paving grant with me?
Yeah, do you know what the date is off the top of your head for
I
being
don't,
due?
I just saw it. I saw it on Friday and I went home early on Friday and I still am home.
I was looking back at last year. We should have gotten an email. I never saw it, so
Yeah,
I can,
I pretty sure I got it. I can forward it to you.
okay, yeah.
I don't think
Yeah,
I
I mean
got it.
if you can forward it, that'd be awesome. We'll start there.
Okay.
In terms of that Perry Road, when you get a chance, maybe just forward the hydraulic study. I don't know if I think that one's an older one that you got a
Yeah.
while back. And then, I mean, we'll probably be beyond the value of the structures grant, but we can deal with that if we get it, and we'll figure out, just because that past culvert that we built the bidding was, that was 2-3 years ago. The bidding was kind of 200 to 400,000. I think this year it'd probably be more of a $400,000 job. So there'd be a gap that we'd have to fund.
I mean, this is a little smaller
Yeah,
one, but still, yeah.
yeah, potentially, unless we can get creative on how we execute it. Maybe that's worth it. Just doing that. So yeah, we'll work together.
All right. Thanks. That's all I got.
Thank you, Clinton. Okay, moving town treasurers update, Elizabeth.
Oh, thank you. Real formal.
Formal, like high school, right?
Nope, they didn't call me that in high school.
Trouble?
I will not answer that, but the good news is, again, January is a pretty slow month overall, but we have collected, it was a fairly strong month for delinquent tax collection. And we're down to 79,000 and some change in property taxes receivable, so it's about 1.4% of our total billings that are still outstanding. Otherwise, we're in good cash flow standing, so that's all just kind of hanging out as we pay regular ongoing bills monthly. Profit and loss, again, pretty slow month going on, but I will note our transfer station is a little ahead of where we would like it to be at the end of January for budget, but there's some fluctuation this time of year. We had the holidays, so it's still within range of what we did budget for the total fiscal year. But just keeping an eye on that as we continue. And same with winter road expenses, we've had some funky weather, needing additional materials. And one we've had mud season coming off, so just that is, it's still within range, but just a note, a little bit above where we would like to see it. And that is pretty, I'm gonna keep it to that this month unless there are any questions. I would like to note FEMA, which isn't reflected here, is taking up a lot of my time and working through the compilation of all the projects. So hopefully those will be, I'll be getting those submitted shortly. We have not heard back yet from the Vermont Bond Bank on the loan to reimburse us for our out-of-pocket FEMA expenses already. Well, not reimburse us, but hold us over until reimbursement. They pushed back their meeting date, so they'll be meeting by the end of this month instead of, they were supposed to meet next week. But that, still, I expect we'll get, if not all, the majority of what we were requesting, and it's at 0% interest for 2 years. And still waiting to hear from the state on the municipal equipment loan funds too. They have not had their meeting. So that is another one where should have heard about a month and a half ago at this point. I think we're flooding and everything else in the legislature that we've been hearing about. Yeah, we'll see.
Any questions on the monthly expense? Thank you. Okay, moving to the listers report, David.
The listers are about ready to wrap up our list for property inspections that will be needed. They'll be done last 2 weeks of March and first week or 2 of April. So that puts us on a timeline that we won't have to ask for an extension and have to be signed, and then it'll go as a permanent part of the grand list with the town clerk that there are no appeals pending. Our report.
Okay, thank you, David. Okay, moving on to Conservation Commission update, David.
We got approval for a municipal energy reduction plan grant of $4,000. There's no matching requirement, and there's quite a lot of flexibility about how it can be used, whether for planning, for public outreach, to help either the town reduce its energy spending or citizens around the town. And so we'll ask Select Board to approve that. At Star Lake, we're collaborating with the Mount Holly Conservation Trust on a plant study, inventory, the plants that are in the lake. They'll pay for the study and do it, and then we'll work with them to publicize it and figure out what comes next after that. And we're also just beginning to plan now on what we might do this summer to remediate the issues at the lake. That's all for this week.
Thanks, David. Any questions?
You guys have that grant in your packets, to sign that the MERP mini grant. That's what Jeremy came last time to talk about.
Okay, moving on to new business, Rutland Regional Planning Commission. Regional plan, Ethan.
So thank you so much for having me. I'll keep this relatively short. We're updating the Rutland Regional Plan, which is sort of basically a larger version of your town plan, required by the same statute. The plan is going to be updated in 2026 as our goal. It's updated about every 8 years, like I said, but this existing plan has sort of been modified over the past few cycles. So this time we're going sort of a ground up rewrite. So this is going to be a bigger effort than usual, and we're just trying to sort of get out where folks are to try to raise awareness about this, and hopefully seek some input from you all. Currently, we have a public survey. There's a QR code at the back of that. You can also go to our Facebook page, the website. If you prefer more analog methods of engagement, we're going to have a special open house. I think Wallingford is the closest one, and that's going to be on March 30th. So you can look up Rutland Regional Planning Question and Open Houses for more details on that. But just to give you guys some background, the document is really sort of take stock of where we are in terms of our infrastructure, our population, and looking at all the ways in which the communities of our region sort of interact and coexist, and basically planning for the future, looking at opportunities, what are the sort of major infrastructure upgrades we're looking for. What our community is thinking about sort of their land use. Do they want to stay the same, or are they interested in, developing and growing? That's about all I have for now. Like I said, it's 2026 when we're looking at final documents. So this is the initial round of public engagement, but you'll definitely hear more from me later in the next 2 years as we sort of seek feedback once the actual document itself takes more sort of shape and you have something more concrete. But right now, sort of, we're mainly looking for from you all sort of what are the aspects of your community and also, other surrounding communities that you really value and you find special about this place. And what are some areas you think may need some work? So I think there's a lot of that both here. There's a lot of amazing things, but there's also work to be done. That's all I have for now. If anyone has any sort of quick questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Any questions for Ethan?
Somebody from your office is sending information to me to post in the newspaper, our town newspaper. So I did post something last month, and I think there's something more for this month as well.
Yes, I believe so. I'm not directly involved in that part, but like I said, we're trying to get to as many ways as possible. So all the local community newspapers, trying to reach people where they are rather than asking you all to sort of drive to a central location to have your voice heard. So that's kind of the approach we're taking. So coming out to you all.
Just a quick question. Will you have the QR code in the chit chat?
I
Whatever.
print what they give me, but I can add this one here to it.
That would be great.
Yeah. And materials are also on the desk back there.
Perfect.
What is the time frame for the survey? Until when?
We're mainly looking for feedback in the next couple of months. We're gonna leave it open,
Okay.
but sort of while we're at this like early kind of definitional stage, we're really looking to sort of define the areas of focus. So that's when sort of that input is gonna be most useful. And once we move sort of more to fleshing stuff out, that's when we're gonna be, seeking additional feedback on the actual sort of concrete ideas that are gonna be in it.
Any more questions? Ethan, thank you.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Okay, moving on, discuss document retention plan. Liz?
So we have a lot of documents
I thought I'd bring an example. Some things are historical, of course, that we have, but there's a number of things from certainly my financial perspective that I don't think we need to keep. The state has some guidelines for record retention. I'd like us to start minimizing what we have in terms of additional notes from projects, things that are older than 10 years when it comes to bills. There are certain pieces that will keep forever, like our grand list as part of the archive. And the office of the archivist has offered at a training to come and look or just consult with. But so if there are things that are of question, we'll hold them until we can get some feedback, but I just wanna, I don't think we need a specific policy, the state has those in hand, but just of note, I would like to do some clearing of older papers that are not needed.
What's the state recommend for timeframes?
It depends on the document. There are things like budgets, notes. As soon as you're done completing your budget, you can get rid of those if you'd like. You can keep things from an IRS standard. Even though we're not required to file taxes, of course, but 7 to 10 years, I would err on the side of 10 years. There are certain things like grants that you have to keep forever and ever. And that, so if there's something that's of question, I would seek outside advice and chat. But I just wanted to bring that here. I know we need some room in the vault as well. So that's part of what keeps motivating it rather than end up paying for more vault space.
Sounds fair enough.
So if there's something that is really special, maybe we'll bring it to a meeting.
I think that sounds good.
Like, I actually have 1984, 1985 payroll sheets. I have some social security numbers of people in this room. I thought this was a good example of something that could be destroyed. It should not be public record.
Correct.
There,
Especially social security numbers.
existing living members of our community. But it was a lovely hand-bound. I mean, it's if it didn't have the social security number.
I just want one number, Dennis's.
Well, actually, that's he's in here.
What do you think she's talking about?
He's in here.
I know, I want it.
But then there's some other things, this, from prior audits and things.
Yeah.
We've accepted the audits, they've been finalized, we have the audit as our record.
Right.
So the notes are no longer valid to keep. Yeah, so certain things will maybe burn.
You talk to the fire marshal about that?
I don't hear back here really clearly, but what you're saying is you have a record of everybody in towns, if you will, social security number.
No, absolutely not.
Just some people that got paid.
Some people that had payroll records
Oh, okay.
from about 40 years ago,
Oh, okay. I was just curious, because obviously that's private.
including Mr. Devereaux next year.
They get paid for something, they needed their social security.
Yeah, I don't even think you got paid, but you must
So
have
what
been
you're
on.
talking about is destroying that information?
And he's worth every
Correct.
penny.
Okay,
Keeping it secure and destroying it so that it's not.
well, that's
public record.
keep it secure, because it's saying.
Well, to me,
destroying
it's
means
destroying
burn
it is keeping it secure.
So we're
Yes,
talking about destroying it.
correct.
Okay.
And no, we definitely, I don't want social security.
It's stuff from Tennessee.
And burn out That's on the website. Okay, is there any other questions for Liz? Okay, moving on, talking about Dennis, discussion for a four-way stop at Belmont store.
So just so you know, we've had this conversations at least 3 times in the last 5 years. And it was part of the ongoing discussion on traffic safety, which I'm still concerned about some of the speeding and stuff. But I think the worst that I see is Belmont Village, which is 25 miles an hour. And I've got a couple close calls. Every time I come up from Tarbleville into the intersection and there's cars packed at the store, we all need to be very
Yeah,
careful.
yeah.
I know we all are.
Yeah.
I come pretty close a while ago. But a month ago, as I parked in front of the post office to get out of my vehicle, a out-of-state SUV came up from this way, heading straight up Maple Hill Road. And I know he was going 45 to 50 miles an hour. And I'm glad I was paying attention. He wasn't that close to me because I was parked in front of the post office there, but I don't know what we can do. But we need to slow down. It's a four-way intersection with a three-way stop. And I've got concerns that in the 50s, it was dirt when we were kids and nobody stopped. There was no stop sign. So the first one there, and there was a lot of sliding on the gravel into the intersection. And we were so early on to stay the hell out of the intersection. But anyway, I don't know if a stop ahead sign, I know there's 3 stop signs there. If a stop ahead somewhere in the direct area of the white brick house coming from this direction, and a flashing red light hanging over the intersection. I know there's a cost associated with all of it. But, you know, when we're on the green in the summer, I know I see them roll through these stop signs, and for the most part, I don't worry too much because there doesn't seem to be anybody coming. But I'll tell you, those coming from this direction up into the village, you know, I kind of like the idea, about 20 years ago, Don Tarble said that somebody had parked their car by the library and somebody else took a coffee can, painted it blue and put on top of the roof. Don Tarble said that when people came over the top of the hill, he saw all these cars hitting their brake lights. So I might find a good used car, an old piece of junk, and park it there and put a coffee can on top.
It's a barn out.
Okay, a bar, whatever. Well, anyway, I know there's, you know, some people have some concerns and, all I'm trying to do is slow them down in that intersection. If it takes a stop sign, or you guys have any other ideas? Whatever's going on, it's not helping much. And I'd like to hear some agreement with me.
I think something, Tarbellville Road, I'll tell you, they go flying up past our house. We're halfway up. And they are going 60 easy, and I'm not kidding. They
That's
really-
35.
And it's 35, and then it gets up to 25, and they're just rolling through the stop sign there too. And so it's a stop ahead sign, maybe that would do something. I don't know, but it's
What
bad.
about the seasonal, like, speed bumps? They have them down in Peru where they,
Yeah.
during the summer and fall before the snows, yeah. I mean, that would
It's-
really slow them down.
It's tough with
Or at least
the
get a
road
boat,
clearing.
bounce over the.
You know.
Yeah, this time of year, you can
It's tough.
have. speed
No, but these.
Yeah.
Like they went to Rutland Hospital.
Spring,
With,
yeah.
with the summertime, yeah, we probably.
Yeah.
But that's only got a 3-way stop sign currently, right?
Doesn't say 3-way stop.
No.
Nothing says 3-way stop only. People are not warned. that
There's
there's
one that doesn't have a stop sign, which I think you would propose that we put a
That's the
stop
one,
sign.
yeah.
Yeah,
on.
so it's a 4-way stop
Yeah.
officially. Or
Yes, Paul.
Just think about costs and all. What about, I know it doesn't work in the winter, but in summer, to have painted caution, slow, whatever, across the road as you come into the village from all directions. The reality of it is, we're a very rural area. There's people that are trying to get from here to there fast. There are some people local who drive it because they've driven it that way all their lives. But the out of towners, if you will, at least that might make them, oh, whoa, and slow down. But the truth is, unless you've got police officers or somebody who can chase them down with a siren, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. It's just human nature and the way people are. But the paint might do something, and it's less expensive than rewiring and putting up all kinds of other structures. at least it might be a way to attempt it beforehand. Stencils can be made, that are reusable, and just spray paint the road and try that. I mean, warnings will help some, but they won't cure the problem at all.
Maybe a sign that says dangerous intersection ahead.
Yep.
I'm willing to, not demanding a stop sign, but I'd like to slow them down a little.
Either that or a crazy old coot with a shotgun stand.
Do you have anything from the utilities regarding their parking in front of the store? And the reason I'm asking, and please don't quote me on this one, but I recall hearing Dave Tilley at some point making a comment about possibly designing their area to be able to put a stop sign there.
Yes, they do.
So that might be something that would be worth looking into.
We did communicate about the winter parking ban, and he did acknowledge, if, you know, to answer your first question, he did acknowledge the need to have cars moved out of the roadway and the parking spots.
It's gonna be difficult for people. It is a difficult intersection. Just geographically because of the way it's located within the town. Jeff, we don't have to go out for another grant to add a stop sign, or not a grant, but a
Study or anything.
study or.
I think we're supposed to, I'd have to go and see, make sure it's a three-way stop in there, and we might have to alter to be enforceable, we'd probably have to alter the ordinance, which probably isn't a huge deal, just some process. I mean, I think markings probably are the easiest way to start. There is no stop bars, that's
Right.
probably the simplest thing to do first.
All four sides.
Well, just do 3 bars to start off with, and
For 3, if we can get a 4th stop sign. By changing the ordinance, then we could do all 4, but
Yeah.
I agree, we'll do a paint first, but unfortunately. We won't do it this time of year, but when we get warmer weather, I think we can get that painted down in there. With a bar across, and maybe we can borrow state stencils to paint.
I got
Stop.
stencils. I got everything we need. I do some community service in the spring if you want.
No, we can, I'll even volunteer to go down and help. Do some paint.
As long as we just gotta buy the paint and we can.
You're gonna
do it.
volunteer, Dennis.
Dennis is gonna do flagging.
Mark,
Volunteer super fun.
Yes,
I have paint.
okay.
We just need warm weather then. Do you, somebody have warm weather?
Other than the stencils and Dennis and myself and a few of us will go down and help paint. Okay,
Start there.
we'll start there, Dennis.
Let those slow down while we're painting.
Let's hope so.
Okay,
We should also probably look into the speed bump idea as well, for coming down the hill. For the removable ones.
okay, we'll start with the paint, then we'll go forward.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, moving on. Discuss request for conservation easement on Farm and Wilderness, Nineveh, Foundation property. Jay?
Yep, Jay Coleman. I work for Farm and Wilderness Conservation. I'm also a resident of Plymouth. I have 2 requests for the board this evening. The second one's our aquatic invasive species grant. If that's okay, I'll talk about that as well.
It's something we sign every year,
Yeah, we sign.
It is. It's been, do you want any detail or could I really just give that?
You can get it.
It's, we're just required to have a municipality partner with us to get reimbursed for the funds that we see. Thank you.
You can probably give people some information if you'd like, a little information if you'd like to talk about.
So we run the breeder program up at Lake Nineveh. It's to prevent liquor milfoil infestation from happening. Breeders are largely there on the weekends. We fund a lot of the program ourselves through fundraising, and then we apply to the state every year and get some of that money reimbursed. And it's not only the breeder program, we also do diver surveys to make sure that an infestation hasn't happened. So it's kind of like an education program, but also less monitored.
Very good. Thank you.
And the next subject I have is we are pursuing a 195 acre easement on a piece of property on the south end of Lake Nineveh. Also as part of this, we're considering a 5 acre subdivision, just to be transparent about that, to be sold most likely as a building lot. This easement is federal funded. And that also, so that the state administers it. And the requirement is that we approach our local government select board for the town that it's in, and at least hopefully get a letter of support, if not confirmation that they're not opposed. And so that's why I'm here this evening. This is Governor Scott's mandate. If they have any forced legacy easements in the state, they want to make sure the select board is aware of what's happening in their town. Nothing will change with the land as far as activities go. Forest management, non-dispersed recreation, deer hunting, still fine. There's a snowmobile trail on the south end of the property and the Velco right of way. Nothing will change with that. So recreators are compatible with this easement along with regular forestry. Do you have questions for me about this? And this is an application that we're making. It's not a guaranteed thing for us.
Would there be a public swim area included in this?
It does not, where it touches Lake Nineveh, the property, I think it just touches, is mostly a swamp. So I think if it was an area that was good, we'd be willing to have that conversation for sure. That said, if you're out hiking on the land, nothing prevents you from using it to go take a swim.
Is that a question, Mark?
Yeah, is this on the Sawyer Rock side, Sawyer Hill side of the property location?
Yeah, more or less, I would say it's Dark Meadow Road is right there. And then you look down the power line, it would be to the north of that.
Yes, Paul.
Would this require any access or roads of any type, coming from there into Mount Holly?
No, the only thing I would say is, normal forestry activities.
But I mean, it wouldn't require bulldoze roads or land clearing or anything else on the Mount Holly.
Nothing outside of forestry operations. One thing that we could imagine is a hiking trail, recreation trail, in a suitable spot. The state is pretty particular about where trails are located these days. We have invested some money at looking with a consultant to point out places that might work for the state.
But no roadway.
No roadways, no development. So. And I should say, Farm and Wilderness Conservation, none of the land is posted. It's generally open for recreation.
Do you have any questions, Jeff?
No, I don't.
And you see on the map, it's a little red outline here. You probably noticed.
Story.
Have any concerns, Diane?
Not at this time.
I don't have any concerns or issues. So when do you need,
At the, maybe next select board meeting, if we actually got some boilerplate together, so you didn't have to actually craft the letter.
Yep.
It'd be really short and simple. That'd be really helpful for us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Did you send those to me already? The boilerplate?
I did.
document? Okay, so whenever you're ready, you can send it my way and
Thank you so
I'll
much.
pass
I'm
it.
gonna make a motion for that to accept that. So is there a motion to accept the grant for the aquatic invasive species program as written?
I'll make a motion that we accept the Aquatic Nuisance Control Environmental Stewardship Program. As it is written here.
I'll second it. The ayes?
Aye.
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 That's right. Yep. Yeah.
Thank you. Would you like a copy of this?
Yes, that would be nice.
Please.
Thank you all for having me here this evening. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for the information.
Okay, moving on. Old business, adopt/revise town plan. I know there's been some revisions that were done into the town plan as we discussed at a alternate meeting that we had. So it has been updated. I don't know if folks have had a chance to go through the town plan that has been revised, and or is there any other issues that need to be brought to our attention?
So all of the edits, the minor revisions that you guys approved at the last meeting were integrated into the plan as track changes. They were sent to the planning commission to make sure the planning commission was aware of what you guys, the specific edits once I implemented them after the meeting. So I think Andy and John both reviewed those. And Jeff has a copy as well. And I did not receive any other revisions. I know, Andy, you found a couple typos and I'll fix the edits. They weren't substantive. So I'm happy to make those final little tweaks. But I think otherwise we haven't gotten any other feedback.
So Andy, John, any issues?
I thought it was most of the changes were actually an improvement. And I sent Caitlin a little note to that respect. And I think Andy had a couple things, some typos he found, but my personal opinion, I can't speak for the planning commission, but it looked like all the changes benefited the plan. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that was my view too. I thought it was they were all good changes. Thank you.
I may be talking about something that was talked about in the past, but reading about it, it was the thing about the maintenance of stone walls. Okay, I'm curious, is there a map of all the stone walls in Mount Holly? Because they run, when the land was cleared, everywhere. I would love to see a map that has all the stone walls, show where they are. I mean, I hate to have, like on my property, I hate to have a bear in the middle of the winter or something, knock a rock off, and I have to scream about the rock. So that's what these things were just stacked up by farmers that were clearing land. They weren't building land divisions. It's a place to put the rocks out in the fields so they could plow the fields. But most of these fields are now trash timber.
Yeah.
And nobody even knows where those walls are unless there's somebody that's gone out and mapped them out. I'd like to see that map.
I don't know if there is, Dennis.
I'm sure there's not a map at all, especially the newer ones, but I would wonder if maybe you guys couldn't appoint Paul, the Stonewall Warrior. So he can spend decades.
I can't even walk my own because of my heart. I have to have somebody along to carry that stretcher.
So with that, is there any other, I guess to say, concerns, questions, issues with the plan as revised?
Yes, I just to highlight a point, I think it was made at the other meeting. I think it was 75 or 80% in favor of the plan that, you know, in the responses you had. I thought that was a pretty strong.
Jeff, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
And I went through those comments that we were looking at the end of that working session. I think after looking through those many comments from that last piece, I think on page 45, there might be a possible recommended deletion by me, maybe just because it's, I think you can go to page 45, but
Yeah, we're there.
had to do with the part selected or commented on was the town should require a grant of easement for all new water supplies. Not sure if that really needs to be in there, if we can potentially, you know, the comment from Ted was kind of questioning that. He was questioning it. And I also think if there was any of those comments to be warranted, maybe some action, that might be one of them. Maybe there was a couple more like that too. I can skip on to, or if there's discussion on that one.
Excuse me, I just wondered if Jeff has some replacement language or something you could recommend.
I just don't know if it needs to be in there. Like I guess, and maybe I'm not seeing the benefit, but I'm just trying to work together with everybody here, and I guess that's one item that I would just recommend removal. You know,
John?
Yeah, on that one specifically, so just so in general, the plan is mostly relevant in Act 250. So if we have a large enough Act 250 development that requires construction of a fire pond or a hydrant, this policy would ensure that the town continues to have access to it regardless of the desires of the developer or the builder. As you may know, we have an awful difficult time getting water supply for the fire department in the town.
so maybe it's
a lot of expense from the fire department side to get those done, a lot of grant work needed. So if there is a, you know, in the Act 250 development, if there is a mandate for fire suppression and particular water supplies, it seems to me like the town should have access to it in perpetuity, so forever.
maybe there's just extra language on Act 250 size developments added
That's the
onto
only
that.
thing. That's the only thing the plan is really used for.
Just the way it reads, you know, it just kind of leaves it to, I mean, a water supply divine in my definition. I hear what you're saying. It's just Act 250, but I think we need to maybe further define in that one sentence.
Yeah, I mean, it has been used in the town already. We do have an easement on a water supply in town. It would be great if we could have more. Water supplies are really essential for the operation of the fire department. I don't know.
So how do we define that? How do we define that not as a like as more of a Act 250 and not as a individual residential water supply like somebody's well
Or somebody's pond, if they built a pond.
Yeah, I mean, is it surface water? Is it portable water? Is it, yeah, I think there's a further, just very broad statement.
Yeah, there's probably ways you could modify it. It's not an unusual stipulation to have for somebody granting water supplies. So, you know, if water supply is necessary for the construction and development, and it seems to me the town should have access to it.
Would it make sense to just say the town should require a grant of easement for all new water supplies apart from individual, from private individual, you know?
I mean, remember, it's a should, right? I think it's a should, is that right? I don't have.
It's a should, yeah, it's a should.
Yeah, so I mean, as somebody who is on the hydrant committee, I'm definitely gonna be pursuing that for the town. I'll be asking. It doesn't mean that they're definitely gonna give it. I know the hydrant we're pursuing right now at Nineveh is going to be deeded to the town. Or the fire department. We haven't quite figured that out yet. Deeded easement.
Do we have such thing with Belmont right now? Starlight?
That's a good question. I don't know who owns those. Maybe, I think I saw Robert in the audience. He might know.
Maybe the language should just be seek a grant of easement instead of require.
You could say seek. It's sort of like what will work best in Act 250, like how they read it, but.
Yeah.
Or just even town should require a grant of easement for all new. I mean, you're really just talking about hydrants, right? That's hydrants or some kind of fire system.
The maintenance of the pond, or,
yeah,
access to the pond for portable pumps. Yeah, that sort of thing. Billy and Robert probably have some opinion on this too. You could ask them. So.
Yeah, I don't think it's so much. I think it's just what you're talking about and what's written there. Just trying to further grasp what we're trying to say there. I'm not disputing the need for dry hydrants or fire ponds or any type of fire grants for that.
This came up on, I believe it was Patch Hill Road 20-30 years ago, or whatever it was. The one condition of developing that road was that they put in a fire pond, and I guess they never did, or decided they didn't must have access to it.
They supplied us with 5-inch hose.
Right, they swapped with some hose or something, yeah.
I would just add on to what John said, which is that this sentence does not impose any mandate directly applicable to a private property owner. It only comes into play if there's a development that triggers Act 250 proceedings, and then it's a consideration that the state would take into account vis-a-vis the development. So I don't think any person just has a well or a pond on their property needs to be concerned about this. Just someone wants to start a commercial development, which is what the state has jurisdiction over, that would create an issue of fire suppression.
So what if we just say govern of all new water supplies governed by, or town shall require a grant of easements for all new water supplies
Under Act 250?
governed under Act 250, or
About,
Yes, Bob.
the water supply is required for the permit process.
Mhm.
And then you can leave the word Act 250 out. I mean, you could have other projects that require a water supply to suffice them getting. But just leave the door open.
Well, most of that is permit. Even if you were to dig a pond today, you have to have a permit process, so. You just can't dig a pond no more without having. Or you're supposed to have permits.
Is that acceptable permit process by you guys?
I didn't quite hear that. Sorry.
Is that acceptable that they add governed under a permit process?
that's too broad because you have to get a permit even for a drinking well water supply.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was muted. It has to be pretty sizable development for Act 250 to expect a water supply to be created anyway. I think sounds like what Jeff is concerned about is water supply is confusing. There's no chance that this would mean a well. So maybe we need to say, public safety water supply or
Public water supply,
fire
public,
pond.
a
Because they're not
public
always
water,
ponds. They could be out of streams and stuff too, but
even just a public water supply, because that is, if there was a kind of a central well, it would be no longer private, but how about just
We're
for
just
all non-private water supplies?
Public between you and water.
Yeah,
Okay,
that sounds.
got it. Was there another one, Jeff?
Yeah. When there were other comments, but the ones that I thought maybe,
Anything else needing a change, you think?
there was an objection on the town should not be involved, page 55 about ADA access at the lake. That was one thing, but that might just be because I'm too close to why it's not ADA access and the design of the dam, but that was one other spot, but I can see leaving it also.
That's a should instead of a shall too, so.
The town should improve the access to Star Lake recreational area to comply with ADA standards for accessible design and link the park with a pedestrian path through the village. I just leave it. I'm fine with leaving it now that I read it again.
Wasn't that done by Casella and you, Jeff?
The state would not allow a wide enough path through that little berm, but the way this paragraph sentence reads, it also talks about trying to find another pathway there, so I'm okay with leaving it. One other just point of discussion, just to recognize his comment on that same page. The town should develop a plan for snowmobile, bicycle, horse, and pedestrian. Or skip ahead. Town should create a recreational trails committee to plan, create, and maintain outdoor recreational facilities and trails. His comment was the town should not be involved. I think it needs to be known that there has been complaints, especially just even with the vast trail being on town road. So there's definitely some items there that need to be cleaned up. One that comes to mind is Frost Hill Road or Tier Road. So I think that is definitely warranted. That sentence is warranted in the plan. And then maybe the last one on page 56 just talks about the town should secure grant funding for planning a wastewater distribution system for the village. The town should identify suitable soils. I think, maybe we should add the town should encourage area residents to create a fire district and seek funding. I think fire district language, I'd prefer to see something in there because most towns do not, water supplies, most towns are fire districts. Sewerage, I think, sometimes is and isn't, but so I guess I'd propose maybe a sentence in there that says the town should encourage residents to form a fire district and then seek grant funding for planning a wastewater distribution system in the village. Or something to that effect.
You guys think?
I agree.
Jeff, do you want to just send me?
Yeah, I can
with
write
like
that better.
Yeah, and then I can tidy it up if it need be and pop it in there.
No, that sounds.
I think that was. There were some comments about the night sky. I'm okay with the way it is. There is a lot of detail there, but. And that is on page 63, his comment. Last one, page 64. Creating a land acquisition fund. I don't know if we need to have that bullet item in there. I think a concession there too could be warranted. And I only bring these up because I want this plan to be approved and everybody's comments matter. And I did go through his comments and those are the ones that I've picked out.
You okay with those changes?
Yeah.
I'm okay with that, yeah.
Okay. Well, since we're okay with that, I got one other one as I scroll through here. Sorry.
That's good, you keep it rolling.
Dennis is a lesson.
One thing we might want to, there's on page 72, it talks about wind, solar, wind, and other energy generation. I think the statement's fine, but maybe we ought to just confirm that since it's being questioned with our lawyer, and I can send Caitlin an email for the verbiage to check that out. I think it's probably fine, but, and then there was just, this is really kind of a really minuscule comment, but about on page 71, the school has difficulty hiring and retaining teachers due to local affordable housing. He's questioning that. I think that's a very hard thing to prove. So if it means removing it, I don't think it really takes away from the plan. There's a couple instances of that. One of them which is on page 71, and I'm done after that. That's it.
Well, I kind of agree because I had teachers who lived out of town. We had teachers that came from Rutland.
Always been that way.
Different areas, so.
Yeah, I don't think it takes away from the plan if we remove it, so I can send you a note on which pages those occur on, or just edit the version you just sent to me and send it back to you with tracking changes.
Sounds good.
So Mark, to that last one that Jeff was just talking about, I had a school board member tell me, or recent former student, that they never had any problems hiring teachers up here. So that was his comment, that he couldn't understand why that was in there either. Okay.
I mean, I see why they put it in there, but when push comes to shove and questions, I say we just take it out. I think it was a good point. I mean, no matter.
Oh, I just tell you why it's in there, just in case you're curious. I mean, because Craig told us about it and felt pretty strongly about he was having a hard time hiring. So, not disputing anything else you said.
They're having a hard time hiring people anywhere in any business.
I'm just telling you where it came from.
Okay. Okay. So Jeff, you'll send those changes on to Caitlin and we'll move forward.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
You guys want to make a motion to adopt with the changes as discussed?
Or revisit next month with the changes.
Whatever you guys
I
want.
think those changes are pretty minor, and if we keep pushing this conversation down the road, we'll, I would recommend we just make a motion, accept the changes. Not to cut you off, but next month's going to be a busy month because it's a reorganization.
Yes. Yes. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the plan with the changes as just discussed.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
The ayes?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank
again,
you.
the town plan was a lot of work, by you folks that participated, into it. I'm sure there was a lot of growing pains as you were doing it, a lot of disagreements as it was being done, but, thank you again, to the planning commission for taking the time and effort, to complete it. Okay, moving on, sign revised personnel policy.
So you guys can do that afterward. You already voted to make the changes.
Correct.
I'm just highlighting what they exactly were and you can sign at the end of the meeting.
No.
Any issue?
No, I don't see any issue. It's exactly what we discussed and voted on last time, so we can move forward. Okay, moving sign. The Merck mini grant agreement.
Same thing. It's signature pages in your packet. You can do it at the end if you want.
Yeah.
But
No, we can. do
and
both.
Liz reviewed the grant fine print as well to ensure there's no town match, and the projects have to be done by the end of 2026. So no urgency.
Plenty.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on, the former Mount Holly Volunteer Rescue Squad, update on transfer of assets and supplies.
So this is just to record into the minutes the communication from our attorney who was in touch with the former rescue squad's attorney regarding the town's final requests for the transfer of any remaining assets owed to the town and any remaining supplies. So they did agree they would provide an update on all financials on March 1st. They will provide a monthly P&L. They declined to provide a detailed general ledger. They said they had some concerns about patient information, which apparently is integrated within those line items and is hard to redact. They also did return some supplies that had not initially been left in the building. So those were returned.
They return the iPad and any.
The laptop and iPad are still outstanding. Our attorney has gave them 30 days, which was now about 2 weeks ago. So in about 2 weeks, she confirmed she'll follow up with them to make sure those final materials are returned. And the 2024 financial report will be provided when the fiscal year is closed out. I think they're waiting from the state for some billing and payment information, but that should be forthcoming soon.
Okay.
So our attorney is now in communication with their attorney and has kind of calendar notifications on her end to make sure to follow up. So we should be good on all of these.
Coming to an end.
Yes, on all of these items.
Not quite there yet, though.
No, not all received, but all agreed to be received. So.
Oh, very good. Okay, then there is a request for the use of the building by the fire department. I believe that's where they want to set up their emergency response.
That's correct. Yeah, just doing a follow-up with you guys on it to see where we stood as far as being able to take it over. As far as the first response goes, I know Megan has put in all the requests and forms. It is a process. I think right now, she's hoping that it will be finished by June, hopefully, where we can start running the first response. Decided to take the EMT class on one of them, so we're trying to offer more to the town best we can. But as far as we have tons of gear and no room to put it, so we're kind of really hoping we can utilize the building and the ambulance and what's left. It'd be a huge asset to us, so.
We gotta figure out the ambulance.
We hold the title here at the town office. It is in Rusty's name.
It has to be
Right.
signed over, yeah.
It has to be signed over before we can do anything with it.
Can
So that's
anybody from the past rescue sign that? Or does it have to be?
It's gotta be the. So we'll have to
You
have,
can make that request.
we can make that request.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to add that probably to the attorney's list. We have to.
If you want to, I can make the request first and see if it's
Yeah.
immediately addressed and
I think we make the
avoid
request
an
first
attorney
and,
fee if we don't need
yeah, I
to.
think we'll make the request first and move forward after.
Yeah, the longer since there probably is not very
Right.
good for it, but as far as the building goes, I just, I don't know, we stand as far as that goes, but the town owns it and all
I don't have a
that.
problem with it. Do you, Jeff? Diane?
Nope.
No, I'm good.
Will there be a lease similar to what was? in
There would have to be,
Okay.
there would have to be very similar lease that they did with Rest Deal.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
And that can be drawn up by the attorney because she already has a copy
yep,
Mhm.
of the.
yep, and we can have the attorney do that
Okay,
to get that moving forward.
well, we definitely appreciate you letting us see the building stuff. Thank you.
We'll be glad to turn over all the utility bills.
Okay. So that covers that. So we're gonna open up the floor to citizens, their community concerns or comments. Steve?
I'd just like to confirm the location of where the voting will be on Tuesday, March 5th, whether it will be here at the school,
Here.
Right here.
because the webpage says it's at the school. If you go to the select board section,
Really?
scroll below this
Oh, it says the
agenda.
town meeting will be at the school. I can double check, but I'm.
Okay, then
I-
it's
but it says
it's a
March
town
5th.
meeting on March 5th.
Okay,
So one way or another, there's,
sure.
Town meeting March 5th at the school. It's a.
yeah.
It's a typo.
Okay.
Not messy.
Should be March 4th.
Yeah,
March
4th,
4th.
okay.
At the school for the town meeting. Okay.
March
We'll,
5th.
We'll check, we'll check.
we'll look at that and fix that.
Yep. Thanks.
Thank you for noticing.
Yes. Anybody else?
Oh. Our oil tank is leaking down here, so we are
Yes.
waiting for it to get down.
And that's a
so we can
given.
replace it. I've got a little dish underneath, it's about like a quarter of an inch.
Yeah, no, it's,
It stinks.
come on. Well, that smells good. It smells like money.
Yeah.
No, they're catching it.
Catch it. for-
Overflowing it.
Yeah. That's all right.
Okay, if there's no other, we're gonna move to the announcements. The town office will be closed February 19th and March 5th. Dog licenses, registration deadline is April 1st
But the town office will be open
for voting,
March 5th for voting.
for voting. So
Not closed completely.
review and sign the orders. I don't believe we need an executive session.
Oh, there's actually one small, there is one small, property owner issue that, you guys should discuss.
But we should have Jeff here with us.
I can call. You can just, I can be on the phone.
Okay.
Yes, please call in.
So I'll make a motion to go into executive session, Title I, VSA S 313A3. Is there a second?
I second.
The ayes?
Aye.
So Jeff, if you can just call into the office in there.
Yep. Oh, we don't have a line there, so I'll just call the clerk number.
I'll call my personal phone if you want. Do you have the number?
I think so. Yep. I'll do
Call
that.
the town office, it will ring.
Okay.
Town office.